like cut out.
Wait, is that a coloring book?
So as you guys know, I love John Maxwell, and I have read all of his, mainly all of his books. This one here, what I wanted to do at the end of this series, because all of us are leaders. So we're either leading people or a company or family, children, a household, in one way or another, ourselves, we're a leader. And so I wanted to end the session with giving a gift to you guys, the ones that were that are at the tables. And so here you go.
Thank you. And Leo, you're gonna teach them.
Here you go. Green tea there. And then one more, Alia. And then baby, I'm not gonna give you one. I'm out of them. And let me
know what
see.
I can do? I can give you mine. I'm gonna have surgery on my eyes tomorrow morning, and I'm not gonna be able to read for a few days or whatever. So if anybody wants mine, I will buy it later on.
I will buy it for you later. Okay, I will buy
no
it for
problem.
you.
Yeah.
Pass these two back. And then, let's see, thank you, Hilda. And then can you pass these to Elizabeth? You're gonna be,
Yeah, tomorrow.
there's
And
Leo the lion.
I don't know if she's gonna I love this.
I always want
Oh, he's here. Well, you know what? I'll also get you a book. I was telling them.
Give Andy my book. It's the month of Ramadan. I'm going to give.
Ah, really? Okay, so you're gonna read it though,
That's my
right?
gift, yes.
Thank you.
That's my Ramadan gift to you, Andy. Thank you.
He's in a giving, loving mood.
I am.
So take advantage.
Well, you can.
So you know what, you guys, we'll get this started. What time is it? Yeah, 7 after. We'll get this started. This is the last class of our series. And it feels good to have quite a few faces here on the last class, because usually what happens is, the climate kind of dwindles off toward the end, and usually I would be here, maybe with my friends, but you're all my friends and my family, and I appreciate you guys being here. This whole series, I think you guys know by now what we're trying to do in the organization is bring in emotional intelligence. And what's funny is what comes to me, and before I talk about that, thank you to everybody that was a presenter. Because whether it's a small group, a large group, it takes guts, right? To come up and to present something, to read it and then present something according to what you read. Like, it does take guts. So thank you guys for contributing and for participating. So, and the next time on the next series, we'll pick another round of presenters possibly, so that we can continue the emotional intelligence series. So what came to me during all of this is we're going to have a class tomorrow regarding NAR. And all of you guys that are here, please be at Legacy First Escrow tomorrow at 11 o'clock. It's really important. We need to go over what we're going to do in July. And it's funny because I personally feel that with change lies a lot of opportunity. And I think that what will happen is agents that are professional, the ones that can communicate, the ones that are willing to put the work in to do the job, they're going to thrive. And the ones that don't know how to communicate, don't pick up the phone, they're not going to. They'll probably fall off and not even be in the business. And so sometimes we need like a cleansing like that, honestly, in this business. Like a lot of part-time people that aren't doing this full-time and really, really going into their craft. And what is it gonna take in July? I think that it's gonna take stuff like this, like emotional intelligence. Meaning being able to communicate, being able to talk to other people, to network, to pick up the phone, to coordinate, to be polite to other people, work together, collaboration. It's gonna take all of that. So no more of, I think the rude people that are just not answering phones and doing their work. So this series, even though we're not talking about production and numbers and how many listings are we gonna take, if we don't get emotionally intelligent, and if we don't do the work to know ourselves and to learn how to communicate and to really dig in and know other people, we're not going to thrive and we're not going to be producing at our highest and best. It's just never going to happen. You can get so far, but if you don't know these tools and you don't practice them, you're only going to get so far. And you're really depleting yourself from so many gifts and so much abundance when you don't dig in and you don't do this work. So this is really dear to me, and I'm glad that you guys are here. And with that, I want to open with this. I want you to take, of course, I have to open with, even though it's not Tony Robbins, I love him, as you all know. And I have gone to Unleash the Power Within about 5 different times. Those of you that haven't gone, right here, this is a clip from the virtual Unleash the Power Within. It's not the same. You have to go in person, you walk on fire, all sorts of things, but it's life-changing. And how many of you guys have gone to Unleash the Power Within? 2, and it's life-changing, right?
Yes.
So he's usually in Los Angeles every couple of years, and the next time he's here, I'm gonna get a group together of us champions to go see him. It is an amazing, life-changing event. This, he's explaining virtually the beginning of Unleash the Power Within, but listen to it because it has a lot to do with what we're talking about here.
Most people, half of what they thought today is the same things they thought yesterday. About themselves, about their life, about their business. That's why most people's lives don't change very much. But if you wake up and you start realizing, I'm living in a home, an emotional home I don't want, you can change it. See, because everybody's got it. If you've got $1 billion, check this out. If you had $1 billion, but the habitual emotions you go back to are frustrated, pissed off, then your life is called frustrated, pissed off. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Write this down, please. The quality of my life is the quality of my habitual emotions. The quality of my entire life is nothing but the quality of my habitual emotions. Whatever habits of emotion, wherever my emotional home is, I will find a way to get back there. And until I change that, I'm gonna have a problem. How many of you see people in some part of the world, in my country, for example, you'll see this in the middle of America where there's certain places that have cyclones all the time. Or maybe down in New Orleans or places where every few years you get a huge storm that wipes out everybody right on the coast there. But then 2 years later, it happens again. They rebuild, it happens again. How many of you ever thought to yourself, why don't these people move? Why don't they move, guys? Because it's what they're conditioned. They call that home. I don't want to leave my home. It's what I know. It's easy to see when it's somebody else and it's physical. It's harder to see when it's yourself and it's emotional. You have an emotional home. Some of you grew up in a really tough environment. I did too. Pretty brutal environment. Very painful environment. Part of I am who I am is because I didn't want to suffer. I had to find answers. And because I suffered so much, I don't want you to ever suffer if I can do anything about it. I can't control it, but I can help massively. But it's only because I suffered so much I don't want anybody else to. But think about it. Most people suffer even when they're successful. Listen, if you're successful and you're not fulfilled, that's the ultimate failure. If you got people that love you and you're not feeling joyous and alive, something's wrong. And you know what it is? You got an old home you're used to. Maybe the home you're used to is not a very happy home. It's a home of worry, a home of frustration, a home of anger, a home of feeling everything's unjust. And so you find a way to get back home using whatever the environment you can use. How many of you know somebody who's always pissed off about something? How many of you know somebody
Aye. I wanted to start this session with listening to Tony Robbins a bit, because all of this emotional intelligence and everything that we're talking about in this series, when it really hit me and when it came to me was in 2008 during the recession. And I know that those of you that have known me for a while have heard the story. And I realized at that point in time when I lost everything and I had to start from ground zero, and I was stressed out, and I remember walking the halls of my house going into, financial stress and having to file Chapter 11 on my properties, and wondering, my daughters were very, very young, and I had to make very fast moves in order to become emotionally stable, like divorce and just different things happened all at one time. Thinking, how in the world am I going to even keep them, in their private school? How am I going to do that? Because I work so much and I need them to be taken care of, and the burden of that stress and pressure. And when you go through something and you lose everything, you realize all of a sudden that the state that we live in is exactly what Tony Robbins just said. The state we choose to live in is what dictates our life. And we can have all the money in the world, and we can have everything, and yet we can be in a state that is sad, depressing, and everything. Yet we can lose everything and not have everything, and live in a state where I'm alive, I'm healthy, I have enough, I have people that love me. And being and living in that state changes your life. And what I realized at that time is that money and financial abundance, all of it is energy. Because there's tons of money and financial abundance out there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for us to grab it and tap into it. And if I knew now what I knew then, how the last decade and a half would have played out, like prior to that differently. But sometimes we need certain things that happen in our life to propel us up even higher. And so I wanted to choose the law of the mirror and the law of pain for my segment, because I had another situation recently happen to me where everything that I thought that I was, meaning healthy as far as my mobility, hiking, walking, going to places, traveling, doing anything that I wanted at any given time was suddenly taken away from me, and I found myself on my couch, unable to move and unable to do anything. And boy, was I humbled. Because at that time, once again, you dig in and you have to take a look at yourself and what is it that you need to do for your life, for your business, and what is it that you are currently doing. And what it does is it builds such a strength in you, because if we don't have these low moments in our life, we're not able to even see and clear things out to have those high moments. And so the internal self-work and reflection is number one, because you do that and everything else opens up. In real estate, in business, money-wise, there's so much prosperity out there. And what I found, and I'll go into it in a little bit, are creative ways to do the things that I used to do. And guess what? More abundance came in. Everything is flowing great. Sometimes things are about to change. So I'm gonna get with the slides because I know we all want tacos and I gotta bust through this. Law of mirror and law of ping. What keeps people from being successful, and why do so many people fail to grow and reach their potential? What he talks about in the book is one main thing, and I believe this to be so very true, it's self-esteem. So when our self-esteem is down and we don't feel good about ourselves, we're not going to live at our potential. But when we're feeling great and we're looking great and we're feeling healthy, right? And we're like, I'm gonna go out there and get that listing and I can close this deal, and I'm gonna, your whole energy and vibration changes. So self-esteem is number one. You must see the value in yourself to add value to yourself. If you don't value yourself first and foremost and say, I'm worth teaching and learning and pouring into myself and growing, and you don't see that value in yourself, then you're not going to be able to give any value to anybody else. Like agents that go on listing appointments. Have you ever seen the person that walks in and they're like, well, okay, I'll do it for 1%. I'll get it done for you they're not going in with the confidence with, I am worth this amount of money. I'm going to do this, this, and this for you. I know my trade. By listing with me, you're going to get top dollar. And I'm going to bring buyers in, this property's going to be sold. It's the confidence and the self-esteem in what we know and how we feel about ourselves that matters the most. And so you have to see that value. Number two, it's impossible to consistently behave in a manner inconsistent with how we see ourselves. People say, fake it till you make it. You cannot fake it till you make it, because people feel energy and they know whether or not you feel good about yourself and you have that self-esteem. And so you cannot behave in a manner that you do not believe. Like, you have to believe in yourself and you will behave in that same manner. Next one, every aspect of your life is impacted by the way you see yourself. So this here a little bit relates a little bit to what I just talked about with the commission issue in our industry. And it's going to hit us even more, because what will happen is now with our buyers, we're going to have to get buyer broker agreements, right? We're going to have to lock them in to say, you want to work with me because why? Why should they work with you? What do you have to offer? What value? How do you see yourself? How do you present yourself? Do you know your trade? All of those things are going to come into play. And they should already be here, and you should already be doing them, but even more so. So low self-esteem puts a ceiling on our potential. People can't outperform their self-image. And do you ever, what comes to me when I read this is, when you first meet somebody, whether it's a client or friend, individual, or anybody, and you introduce yourself and you're first talking to them, energy speaks louder than words. And so you ever meet somebody and you feel it right away. Your clients do too. So you walk in, hey, how you doing? Like, your energy is good and you feel like, like legitimately happy, full of energy. they sense that, and then they sense when you're just faking it. And people that, can read these things, which are the majority of us human beings, we know they're gonna see right through it. So I love this one right here. The value we place on ourselves is usually the value others place on us. If you place a small value on yourself, the world will not raise the price. This here, I can relate this to real estate. Like, obviously we know I just talked about commissions and in real estate. But what comes to me with this is I was very young when I got married, and very naive, really, very young when I had my children. And sometimes us women, and men as well, when we don't value ourselves, what we do is we tolerate things. And we say, you know what though, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, I can do that for myself. But you notice that, and I thought, what is the difference? Because I have some friends where in relationships, their spouses or their boyfriends, and they do, everything for them, and they step up to the plate. And the reason for that is because they have placed that value on themselves. So whatever value we have, we place our price tag on ourselves in relationships, friendships, business, life. If we don't value, why would others? They're gonna say, well, if they tolerate that, or if she tolerates that, then you know what? That's what I'm gonna give her. And that is the biggest thing that came to me when I was reading this, is we have to make sure that we know our price tag for the world, for business and life in general. Because believe me, people will either rise to the occasion to be in your life, or guess what? They won't be in your life. And that's okay too, because there's others that will. So what are the steps to building your self-esteem? Number one, let's go through these. Guard your self-talk. So we have like a little voice that goes, in our head, that's playing in our head all day long, thinking things and inadvertently saying things. And we need to watch that talk, because I do it where I catch myself saying something, but words, I like to say, like, words are spells. And words are spells, meaning what you say and what you're thinking, a lot of the time, inadvertently it comes true. So we have to watch it. Even joking, like I've always told, don't even joke about that. Like, oh my God, I look like a mess. Don't even say that. I look great, I look beautiful, I'm fantastic, I'm whatever it is, because that self-talk, it does have an effect on us and in our life. And I remember like difficult times that I was going through, I would be a crazy person looking in the mirror and saying, I had a talk with my daughter the other day, and she's like, I don't know this mess. I think I went on a little rampage saying, I am powerful, I am strong, I'm capable, I'm able to do whatever it is I set my mind to. I am a good mother, I'm a good leader, I'm a good broker, I can run businesses. Like that self-talk and the things that we say to ourselves, it matters, because it's like a recording in our head. And if you sit there and you look at yourself and you say those things, you become those things. And so we have to be careful about that. Stop comparing yourself to others. This is easy to do. Hey, Javier is here. Yay! Stop comparing yourself to others. This is easy to do, you guys. And why is this so easy to do right now? There you go. Have you ever seen the agent or the person that is on social media and they're selling something every hour?
Lenny.
Yeah, she really is though. That woman is fire. That woman is I can actually say that. But there's people, because that you look up for numbers, and what I was gonna say next is this, you ever see that person, but then I have access to broker metrics, and that's all I look at all day long. Not all day, I'm exaggerating, I have a recruiter, but my recruiter looks at it all day, right? And you see that, but then they did like 0 transactions, and you're like, what the heck is going on? I mean, it seems like they're selling a house every hour. They've done nothing on broker metrics. So that, when we compare ourselves to other people, one of two things happens. Either we start to feel like shit because we're like, wow, you know what? I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not in motion enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not doing enough. And that brings down your self-esteem. Or another thing happens where you start comparing yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, that person has to pull it together. Like, they are a shit show and I'm so much better, you know, and then what does that do? That gives us like pride and ego. And then we're like, well, we're doing great. I'm doing great. I don't have to do anything. And that also stalls your growth. So what you do is compare yourself to yourself. Like, what is it that I want to do to grow my business? You know, how do I want to become better? What is my goal for my life? Do I want to sell 10 homes and go on vacation, you know, half the year? Do I want to do 30 and work, you know, consistently and really hard for the year? Like, look at your own goals and forget the rest. The rest is just a lot of show. And especially our youth, I feel, is affected by this because of filters and all sorts of things, you know, causing all sorts of problems in society. Move beyond your limiting beliefs. We all have them, and we're all kind of born with them in a sense. Well, no, we're not born with them, but they come in at a very young age. And one of my limiting beliefs I remember in business especially was when I first started RE/MAX. It was like 20 years ago, over 20 years ago now. And I would go to meetings. And at the time, RE/MAX was, and I'm just gonna say it out loud, older white men were in these meetings. And there was no women broker. And I felt like awkward. And then to like, you know, double that down, you know, I was young. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a young female. Who's gonna listen to me? Who's gonna follow me? Like all of that, you know, those limiting beliefs, because they are limiting beliefs. Because you can get, let's say, a real estate agent that has been in the business 1 year and they have closed many transactions and they practice their trade well, they learn, they're educated, they might do better and give better service than somebody that's been in the business 10 years, has more quote unquote experience. So that was a huge limiting belief for me that I had to get past. And it took a bit. It took, you know, working on and showing up and being uncomfortable and just kept showing up. And then the first female broker that came in, I'm like, she's gonna be my friend. You know, like, hallelujah. But it's those limiting beliefs that get us stuck to where we can't move. Limiting belief. Do you know what yours is? One of them.
Mine,
One of them.
I can't run a marathon.
And you did. Very good. You did it. Awesome job. You did it. And you did it. That is tough to do. And you told me the story of how at the end you pushed through and you thought you weren't going to make it and you kept pushing and believing in yourself and you did it. We all have them. We all have limiting beliefs, you know, regardless of what it is. Add value to others. I'm not even looking at my notes to talk. I'm not even doing my notes. Add value to others. This is one that, well, you guys don't have anything to write down, but this is one that has really opened up my world in business, I feel. And like listen to this, or at least write this down. You will never have financial abundance if you don't learn to pour not only into yourself, but into others as well. So you have to be able to pour so much into yourself that you can pour twice as much into others. Because we are in the business of service. And if we're not providing service and providing value and giving to people and doing for people, then what are we doing? We're not. And believe me, we won't be very successful in what we're doing. Do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing. So this here, how many of you guys have known something that you need to do that it's a hard thing to do and you just don't want to do it? Like you just don't want to do it because you feel bad for the person, or you want to give somebody another chance, or you know what, I really want to help this client even though they're treating me like crap, or you know, I put so much into this, maybe I should just keep going, I don't know. Yet in your heart you kind of know it's time to cut this off. That's doing the right thing even though you know it's the hard thing, or anything that relates to that. Sometimes putting work into a particular area of our life, that's doing the right thing. For me, I used to love to hike, and I used to take off and walk around, and Javier knows, he used to take me on 12-mile hikes and no problem, right? Javier, I just do them like that. And when this happened, I could no longer hike. And I figured, okay, I'll find another method. I'll get a Peloton. I'll just get on the Peloton. But it is so freaking hard for me to get my butt on the Peloton. I have to drag myself and talk to myself. Jennifer, this is the right thing, even though it's hard. This is what you're supposed to do. You gotta keep it. I have to talk to myself to get my butt on the Peloton. Yeah, I know. I know that I have to move and it's healthy and everything, but it's hard. And so, those are the things that we need to do. What area of our life is difficult for us, or what is a challenge? That's the area that you need to dig into, because that's the area that will bring you the most growth. Where are we? Number 6. Practice a small discipline daily in a specific area of your life. So let's say, once again, pick something that is difficult for you. So what is difficult? And do that every day, day in and day out. And then you're going to see how much self-esteem you build because you did what's difficult. And I go back to the Peloton. I don't want to get on it, but I have to. Number 7, celebrate small victories, but not too long. Number 8, embrace. I'm going to skip over that because I think we all know how to celebrate that. We don't have problems with. Tacos, we're having tacos. Embrace a positive vision for your life based on what you value. So on this one here, this is a good journal item because what is it that you value in your life? Do you value peace? What do you have to do in order to create that life to bring you the peace? Do you value money? That's okay too. Money is great. I don't want to not have it, believe me. I've not had it, and I don't like not having money. It doesn't feel fun. It doesn't feel good. I don't want to go to the store and wonder, can I afford that? It sucks to not, have money. Doesn't bring you happiness, of course, but without it, I don't feel very happy. So, that's okay. Do you value money? What do you have to do, and who do you have to become, in order to make money? So decide what you value. And then base your life around that. Who do you have to become in order to live the life that you value? Practice the 1-word strategy. This one here, this is funny because, okay, what is one word that describes you, Elizabeth?
Leo, what's one word that describes me?
You have to say it. What is one word that
Transparent.
encompasses Elizabeth?
Transparency.
Transparency. So every time you're feeling either a certain way about maybe not showing up or you say, I'm a transparent person.
Super transparent person. I'm a transparent person.
I'm a transparent person. So pick one word when you go into that mode. It could be, I'm a person of integrity. I'm a happy person. I'm a loving person. Like whatever it is, and go back to your word. Number 10, take responsibility for your life. Okay, you know what, that one, let's skip over that. Because I'm gonna end with that. The law of pain, good management of bad experiences. How are we on time? How much time?
Yeah.
Okay. The law of pain, good management of bad experiences leads to growth. If you have a bad experience in your life and you don't learn the lesson in it, it's not going to propel your growth. But success is always based on failures. And so when you have a bad experience, but you learn, like, what is the gift in this bad experience? Like, what was I here to learn? And you manage it well, it's going to lead to a lot of growth. So we have to, when we have those experiences, to not sit there, dwell in them, curse them, whatever it is, but really try to dig in and find the value in that bad experience. And then that'll really propel your growth. How do you respond to bad experiences? So what are some examples of how people respond to bad experiences? Brooke, how do you respond to bad experiences?
Blaming something or blaming external.
External. Okay, like how dare you? I'm mad at you. How could you do that to me? What's another way?
Shut down.
Shut down. Shut down. Retreat.
I retreat completely.
Not say anything.
Give up.
Another way.
Never.
Blame.
Give up.
Vent.
Blame. Prevent.
Get over it.
Just say.
Jennifer.
I'm like, what? Whatever, next.
Jennifer, the words I've adopted into my life is adapt and change, because we have to constantly adapt to so many things that we're facing, whether it's family, work, clients, difficult clients. And I always have those words there, okay, Kathy, but it doesn't matter what they want, you have to adapt and work with the changes that need to happen. And that's hard. It's been hard for me over the years, but today I can say I have frequently put those words in my mind and heart that we have to do it.
Yeah, so truth is like the weather. You can't expect what's going on like every day is the same. So you have to adapt every day. The weather's going to be different. So
Yes,
so
there it is. And you never know what's going to happen.
you never know.
You never know. Right before this class began, I was telling the girls, I was driving to work, and I got a text message from our lovely Norma, Norma, our escrow manager. And then she sends, good morning, guess who stopped by? And then I'm driving and I'm waiting like, what? And it's like, I've heard people do that. Like, if you're gonna send me a message, just send it in one text, like you're waiting, like,
Where's the punchline?
what? But I'm waiting and I'm driving and I'm gonna call her in a couple minutes. If I don't get an answer, she'll do this. But then a card showing the DFPI, the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. So we're a DFPI escrow, and that means that these auditors, decided to stop by. And they're over there and they're digging into, everything and going through things. She says, oh, it's the DFPI, and they're here and they're going to head over to the Diamond Bar branch after, and I'm not going to come. I was going to come support you. I'm buried now. But for me, I thought, okay, something just happened. It's not pleasant, right? And it's not ideal. It's not fun to have the DFPI in there. But I called our CPA, I called Adriana, and I said, hey, you know what, do whatever's necessary to send whatever papers. And I'm moving on with my life. I'm here and I'm gonna have tacos. So, you know what I mean? It's how we take things and how we respond to them that determines the quality of our life. life. Because if we respond in a way, and we have to acclimate ourselves to be able to handle whatever turbulence comes our way, in life. So every problem ends up having a solution, and usually the solution is the way that we react to it and our emotional response. So we have to have that mind, especially in real estate, that nothing is going to shake me, and I'm going to remain in my calm, happy state no matter what it is, that happens. So, how do you turn pain into gain? Choose a positive life stance. So, I wanted to share a little story with you about this because I was over at Cedars-Sinai, the hospital in LA, and the drive there is not fun. I had to go there like for 3 weeks I had my daughters driving me because my foot doesn't work right and everything. And when I got to the hospital, if any of you have been at Cedars-Sinai, the place is like a city. It's huge, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna walk through all of these halls? Like the talk started, right? How am I gonna walk? This is horrible, the drive's horrible. Like my foot hurts, my ankle hurts. And so anyway, we get there, and we're there, and they're doing all of the testing, and I'm waiting. And while I'm waiting, I had to use the restroom. So I get up from the little waiting area and I go to the restroom. And a lady is standing at the restroom with her husband behind her. And she goes, oh, you know what? There's another bathroom down the hallway around the corner that I think, is, and I thought, I'm not walking anywhere. Like, there is no way in hell I am walking on this ankle. But I said, oh, you know what? No, it's okay. I'm just going to wait. I don't want to walk because I'm here, for my ankle. I have to get an ankle replacement, and they're doing all sorts of things. And so she starts to ask me questions, right? And so I answer, being in my pain and very self-absorbed at the moment. I start answering and talking about myself and my ankle and telling her the story of what has to be done and, kind of poor me. And so then it dawned on me as we're waiting, I thought, I didn't even ask this woman, why is she here? Or why is he here? What is going on with them? How selfish, Jennifer. So I go, what are you doing here? What's going on with you? And she goes, I have a spine tumor. And it went to my brain. The doctors have done everything that they can, but now I'm here for, pain management and things like that with the little time that I have left. It's a few months. She goes, every day is a gift. We wake up and every single day is such a gift. And I'm gonna be, I'm positive, I feel good, I'm happy. Because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She goes, no, I've lived a good life. I'm can't complain. I have beautiful people in my life. The only thing I'm really sad about is I won't see my grandbaby grow because I just had a little granddaughter. And so I'm not going to see her grow up, and I really wanted to see her grow up. And this woman is talking with such positivity, and she goes, are you okay? Are you okay, Steph? Do you want to sit over here? And I'm thinking to myself, you know what I mean? It put perspective into life for me, because I thought to myself, here's a woman who doesn't have very many months, and she's kind, she's, positive stance on life, happy, just talking to other people, making the best out of each day of her life. She could have been the opposite when she was talking to me and just been like, oh, it's, horrible, I can't, just in a depressive state or not wanting to converse, not wanting to talk, but she chose the other route. And that just showed me that we have to choose a positive stance on life, because every day, is what we make it. And my heart broke for her, and I thought, Jennifer, stop complaining about your ankle. Don't even say anything about it anymore. Really, because, think about it. People are suffering with life-threatening things and everything. It's horrible. Number 2, embrace and develop your creativity, creativity begins at the end of your comfort zone. So when I wrote about this, I'm actually going to go a little bit of a different direction now that I'm up here. So a lot of the time when we're going through painful things or we have a moment that kind of kicks us down, embracing our creativity and kind of being forced to do that will really build a lot of self-esteem and make us very proactive about making certain changes in our life. And so I am like the type of person that I love to meet people face to face. And I've been doing this, you know, from when I started 20 years ago. It's what I love to do. I love coming in. I love meeting new talent, new agents, talking to them, you know, telling them like what we have here in the Champions community, bringing them, just getting to know who they are and their lives. Like, it's just, I love to do it. And when this happened to me suddenly for a while, I couldn't meet people face to face. And I felt so sad for, you know, like a couple of weeks. Like, I even feel like I kind of was going into that pit of depression a little bit, like repressed. And I thought, okay, how else can I connect with people? How can I get creative about this? What can I do? And you find out during adversity changes that you can make in your business. Like, maybe we can't meet them face to face. Maybe it's a Zoom call. Maybe we have to connect in that way. Or maybe other people also want to be able to meet people and have, you know, their talents shine. Like my beautiful Ashley, I'm willing to help you. I'll meet with people too. Wow, okay, that'll give, you know, her the ability to connect and talk to people. Or same, Elizabeth, like, you know, I'll take some of your appointments and meet with people. But the creativity, like, it kind of forces you to be creative and think, how can I streamline my business or do things in an alternate way that could actually end up being really helpful to business? Number 3, embrace the value of bad experiences. I think that one is pretty obvious. Let's move on to 4 or else we'll never get to our tacos. Make good changes after learning from bad experiences. Like we were talking about, when you have a bad experience, we get like a lot of strong feelings and emotions about it. And so at that time is the time that we're either going to dig in and make the change, or we're going to stay stuck in, you know, where we are. It's a defining moment, and each moment of our life, regardless of what people say, they say, oh, change takes a lot of time. No, it doesn't. It's one decision. It's one decision to make that change and to implement the change is what it is. Because most people that say, well, I'm going to attempt to try to, you know, make a change in an area of my life, they're not ready. You ever meet the family or the people that, and I have a friend of my high school friend of mine that goes through this, where one of her sons was, you know, highly addicted to alcohol and drugs. And she did everything in her power, like tried to drag him into places, tried to get him help, therapy, all sorts of things. And then all of a sudden, it was a couple of years ago, she called and she says, you know, so-and-so one day just decided, like, I gotta make a change. And every single thing that she did and tried to do, and, you know, therapy and all of that, when he wasn't ready to do it, he didn't do it. So our life is defined by moments of decision and making that decision to change. So what I wanted to end with is this one, and it's so funny because in both modules, it had, how do you turn pain into gain, take responsibility for your life. They both ended with take responsibility for your life. Because a lot of the time, you know, especially in, I think, business, what happens to us is when we're not growing or we're not progressing or moving forward, it's easier to blame something outside of ourselves and to say, well, nobody is teaching me, or I'm just having a streak of bad luck, or it's easy to deflect that and to blame an outside source because that makes us feel good. And at the end of the day, have you ever heard of, I think it was in a movie that I was watching where two sons grew up with an alcoholic father. And one of the sons became an alcoholic and did nothing with their life. But the other son was like, I never want to be like that, and I'm going to make something of my life. And I'm going to use that as motivation to propel my life forward. So two people coming from the same background, having the same experience. One did nothing with their life, and the other used that as something to propel their life forward. So taking responsibility for ourselves and for our life and our business, like saying, what do I have to do today to learn more? What can I tap into? We have a lot of classes here at Champions all week long, but is there something like another source? What do I need? What do I want? Because there's no lack of abundance when it comes to learning or doing. And sometimes it's taking that responsibility to really look at ourselves and say, am I showing up in the best way possible? Or am I fooling myself? Because it feels good. It feels good. And this is why at the beginning, when I first began years ago, I'll never forget a couple of things that, like two things that my father really instilled in me, and I'm grateful forever. There's been a lot more, of course. The first thing was when I first got into real estate, I was attending every single class that was available, like everything. I was there. I was at every event. I was at every class. And he's like, that's great. So when are you going to actually work? Like, when are you going to get to work? Because you're not going to learn anything if you're, not getting out there and, pass out some flyers or something, do something. And I'll never forget those words, like, do something, Jennifer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how aggravating, do something, how dare he? But he was right, like, do something, to propel the business forward. And for a minute there, like, it kind of, took me aback. But at the end, he's right, because we need to get out there and we need to take responsibility for our life and what it is that we need to change our life, to propel our life forward and to make things happen, because nobody else is going to do it for us. That saying that if we wait to see what other people have in store for us, it's not much of anything. We have to be the ones that determine how we show up and what we do. And so, Catherine is laughing because she knows my father, because he's pretty blunt and says it how it is, right?
You have to execute at some point.
Yeah, at some point, like, you have to execute. You can't, but sometimes we do that because what we're doing is we're making excuses to say we're busy. Another thing, he goes, and I tell you guys to do this too. If you have a notebook, I still use a paper notebook. If you have a notebook, write down how much you're prospecting each day for the week. So how much, because we are in the business where if we're not prospecting or servicing a listing or a client, we're not working. That means that we're doing something else. So write down, like, how much are you prospecting every day, and be real about it. Because at the end of the week, if it's 1 hour each day, well, no wonder you haven't made any money. I mean, you're not going to. Even to this day, I may not prospect myself every day, but to continue the Champions organization growing and bringing talent in and, all of those things always needs that. I have somebody prospecting all the time, all day long for me. So while I'm here, he's calling and prospecting. So how much are you prospecting? Because that will give you a clear indication of how successful you're going to be. So all of us, I'm going to end with that. Taking responsibility for our lives is powerful, because when we don't take personal responsibility, then we're placing our lives in the hands of somebody else. And when you take back that power, then guess what? You can do something about it. So once you can do something about it, everything flourishes. So let's eat some tacos I just want to say thank you guys guys for being here. We'll figure out a next series and, a new group of fresh presenters. And I want to keep, all of this going because I feel like this work is just as important as learning how to take listings and servicing buyers and pushing numbers. So, my last words with you are, please, all of you guys, if you took anything from this and hearing everything that all of us said, do the self-work and take a look at how you can improve yourself so that you can add value to other people. I'm sorry.